Hello, I'm Warren Clay, and today on Clay Time, we're going to learn how to manage our class files on Mac OSX. Let's get started. All right, we are here in the Mac OSX desktop now, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go to the description of this video, and we are going to download the data management for OSX PDF. Now, this is going to be a document that takes you step by step through everything we're going to do today. In case you ever have any questions, you can refer back to this document, or you can keep this with you as a cheat sheet in case you ever forget something. So we start by going through here, and we are going to scroll down, and we get our before you begin. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go through here and want to list all of the classes that we have this semester, but we want to list them in a very specific way. We want to have the shortest name possible for these classes. So if you're teaching English, you want to shorten that down to something like ENG, Spanish, SPA, your chemistry, chem. You just want to have something a little bit shorter for when you have to type that in multiple times a day. You just want to keep that short enough that you remember it, but long enough that you can understand what it is, just to maintain that extra bit of sanity throughout your day. Now, as we come down here, we're going to get our 4 rules for going through this file system. So this file system has 4 basic principles that we follow throughout it. And the first one is underscores. Underscores are going to go between all the different pieces of information that you have in your files. So take, for example, you have underscores between your date, then you have your class, and then you have the semester that that class is in. You're going to put an underscore between each of those so that when you look at the file name, it's very easy for you to tell exactly which part is which, and you don't have to be looking around trying to figure out how that information is split apart. Rule number 2 is spaces. So we're going to put spaces between each of our words, and we're going to put capitals on the start of each new word. So you have our first example on here. We're going to have 2020 and then this long string of letters that's hard to read, and then we get that fall semester we can still make out. But when we put those spaces and we put those capitals in, it becomes really easy to tell that this is 2020 English history from 1620 to 1940 fall semester. So now we go down and we got one more set right here. Now we have, first of all, parentheses. So parentheses are going to group sets of information that contain underscores. So the biggest place we're going to see this is in dates, where we have 2020 underscore 8 underscore 22. So that gives us August 22nd, 2020. And we're going to put that in an underscore so that we know that that's all one piece of information. So our fourth rule is going to be about how we structure those dates. Our dates are always going to be listed out in year, month, day order. That's so that your computer is always able to read those dates and put them in chronological order. So every time you put your date in, you're just going to make sure that it's put in the order that your computer reads it, which is going to be that year, month, day format. So down here we have standard acronyms. I put in the 2 that I recommend to start off with. This is FSEM for fall semester and SSEM for spring semester. Just a little bit of shortening on there to save you a little bit of time throughout the day. I recommend that if you are going to have more acronyms for yourself, you just write them down on this page so you can keep track of every place that you've shortened things down. That way you don't forget anything. So now we're going to go into the step 1 that's going to be creating our file system. So we're going to go to our root folder. Now the root is where you start off with your file system. So in our case, our root folder is going to be our documents folder. So we're going to go into our documents folder, and then we're going to create a new folder. So we're going to do this by pressing Command-Shift-N, and that's going to be a handy shortcut you're going to want to remember. That's how you create new folders, is that Command-Shift-N. And we're going to label this new folder classes. So now we're going to double click and open into this classes. And now we are going to have a folder for each of our semesters. So if you're archiving some older semesters, you might want to go a little bit earlier, or you want to go a little bit later if you're planning ahead for some new semesters. But right now, we're just going to make the folder for the semester that we're at right now at the time of making this video, and that's going to be year 2020 fall semester. So all of our semester folders are going to be labeled like that. If we're creating a folder for next spring, that's going to be 2021 fall semester. And if we're creating the next semester after that, that's going to be 2021. Sorry. Got that out of order. So that's going to be, this first one here is going to be for fall semester next year. This next one's going to be for next semester, which is 2021 spring semester. And we're going to have all those folders here so that they're grouped nice together. You can always tell 2021 fall, 2021 spring. Becomes easy for you to tell them apart. So we're now going to go into our 2020 fall semester folder. And we are going to create folders for each of our classes this semester. So class folders are going to fall under the naming structure of year. So the year that the class is being held, the name that you're using for the class, whether that's an abbreviation or you're going to write the whole thing out. So in my case, I'm going to have Algebra 1. And then you're going to have the semester that it's being taught. So this is Algebra 1, and this is fall semester. So now when I look at the folder, I know that this is for the fall semester of 2020, and it's my Algebra 1 folder. And now our next area, we're going to create a few more. So we're going to have 2020 American Politics fall semester. We're going to have 2020 Chemistry 1 fall semester. And now we're going to have our next one here. This is 2020, and this is going to be English grade 6 fall semester. Now this part's really important. You're going to be tempted a lot of times just to do English, leave your little 6 like that. And while that will work if you're just doing grades 1 through 9, once you start going into grade 10, you can run into some sorting issues with your file systems. So it's easiest just to make sure, as a rule of thumb, when you know you're going to have more than 9 of something, just always label that 0 and then your number, so that when you count up, you have up to 99 numbers where you can keep on counting and your computer will always sort it the right way for you. This becomes especially important, let's say you're going to teach grade 9, and then you're also going to teach grade 11. Now with that 0 in front of the 9, it's always going to read it and sort it in the proper order. Then you just never have to worry about how it's going to label what you're doing. So now we're going to go back in here. We're going to finish off making our folders for the semester. So 2020 History of Western Music 1 and History of Western Music 2. And now we get another really important one here. Now this is 2020 Native American History fall semester. Now this is an area where those acronyms really start saving you a lot of time. This Native American history is going to take you a lot of time to have to type out each and every, 2 or 3 times a day if you have to. And so to minimize that, you just want to be able to go into there and shorten that down to a few easy acronyms for yourself. Now we're going to create our last folder. This is 2020. We're going to teach trigonometry fall semester. And now we have all of our folders for our classes this semester. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to create one more folder down here. This is at step 5. And we're going to want to create a folder for when we have to make things like announcements. If we have a project we want to share with all of our students, then we're going to put it into our all students folder. So that's 2020 all students fall semester. Great place to put something. Let's say you have just a welcome to the class video. Here's how you do a PowerPoint video. I want you guys to watch this video on how to do this specific part of a project that we're all going to do. Instead of having to create an assignment folder in each and every one of these classes, and then you can just make that one assignment, put it into your all students folder, and then it's easy for them to find and easy for you to figure out where it's going to go. So now we're going to go into our next step. This is going to be creating assignments. So we're going to go into our Chemistry 1 folder. We're going to create an assignment for our chemists in here. So we're going to do this following a specific file structure here. So it's going to be the date. Now this date can be one of 3 things. This can either be the date that you started working on the project, the date that the project is going to be assigned, or the date that the project is going to be due. It doesn't matter which of these you choose, just as long as you make it consistent across how you're labeling your files, That way everything falls chronologically still for you. So in my case, I mark off on my calendars when everything's going to be due in nice bright red marker. So I'm going to put this on here, and this is going to be due year 2020, month 9, and it's going to be due on the 23rd of this month. And it's going to be for class chemistry 1. Now this part's really important. You don't want to start lengthening or shortening names in this folder. You want to have it be consistent all the way through. So in here, if I had labeled the folder above this 2020 chemistry instead of just chem, I would write this out as chemistry 1. But since I did use that acronym, I'm going to label it chem 1. Now we're going to have assignment name. Now the most important part about these assignment names is just to keep them short and simple. You don't want a very long file name that you have to type out over and over and over again. So you don't want to make this, 10 words long. I want the history of famous Swedish chemists between 1720 and 1860. You just want to make this the project of famous Swede chemists 1760, 1920. It's still a long file name. You could probably just make it famous Swede chemists. Short and simple, something that you're just going to be able to remember the project as when you have to come back, if you have to find a rubric, if you want to repeat the project in future years, you just want to be able to identify that easily. Now this last part's really important. This is type of assignment. So you're going to label this, and this is going to be a paper. Let's say you're having trouble figuring out how exactly you want to label your assignments as what type they are. I have a handful of examples right here for you to look at. Whether you're going to have them just watch and respond to a video, you can label it video. If it's a paper, just label it paper. Journals, labs, practice logs. This just falls along the same areas as the assignment names. Don't make it super long. It's not meant to be super detailed. It's just meant to be informative for you to judge how you're doing. So we're going to create this assignment. And now what this file structure tells us is, first of all, we have obviously the date that it's either due or assigned or we started working on it. Then we have the class that it's for. And this, having that class that it's for, is in case we lose some of the files, we accidentally move them from one folder to another and we don't realize it. It becomes really easy for us to sort them back down into the exact right folder. Then we have the assignment name. This helps us just be able to identify the folder as we go through. Switch our view here and we can see this, and we can see, yep, famous Swedish chemists. We can tell this is the folder that I want to look in for me to go through and find, say, my rubric. And then I see right here it's a paper. Now this last part, type of assignment, becomes really important as you start filling up these folders and getting lots and lots of assignments, because you might find that, oh no, I've assigned 25 papers this semester and I can't understand why my students just aren't involved. They don't want to be in class. I don't know what's going on. You can go through and you go, wow, that's a lot of papers. How about we go through and assign a video for today and a reflective journal for tomorrow, and just mix that up a little bit so that our students start getting back involved and into the classroom. So now, with creating that assignment, we're ready to start putting files into this folder. And that's going to happen by coming into here. And now you're going to create documents just like you always do. So let's say that you're using Word. You just go into Microsoft Word. You're going to go there. You're going to create a new document. You're going to save that document and you're going to select your documents. Hold on, we're going to go back to here. Poof. We're going to go right into our documents. We're going to go to our classes. We're going to go to the right semester for what we're looking for. So that's our 2020 fall semester, Chemistry 1, and here's our paper. And now we're going to label this the same way as we have our folder. So this is going to be 2020 09 23 underscore chem 1, famous Swede chem paper, and let's just make this the syllabus. So boom, we're going to put that there. Now you notice all we did to name this file is we added one more underscore and we wrote exactly what it is at the end, so that our whole file structure is right in here. We know exactly where this file goes into if we ever lose it, or if we ever need to move it from here onto, let's say, our desktop. In order for us to keep track of it, now it becomes really easy for us to go, oh, this folder goes right back into this file goes right back into this folder, and we're good to go. So now we can write up all of our stuff, we can save our document, and now we're good to close it out. And when we come back in, we go right through there, and there is our syllabus. So now the last thing we're going to go through is how all of these are structured is what we call a file tree. So we have our root folder. So the root folder for us is going to be our documents folder, and that's going to contain our classes folder. So you see our next step down from this root, it's growing just up like a tree. So we go our root folder, then we go our classes. Now we select our semester. Then we select the class for the semester. And then we select the assignment, and that assignment will start filling up and branching out just like a tree. We'll have lots and lots of little branches and leaves popping up throughout all of these folders. Now this file tree is a good thing for you to print out and keep on hand, because it has these little abbreviations here, these great places for you to keep track of how you're going to label your folders going forward. So you have your semester is going to be labeled with year, then fall/spring semester. Your classes are going to be year, then class, then fall or spring semester. And then your assignments come in as date, class, name of the assignment, and type. And you're going to be able to branch out and have that as a cheat sheet on hand so that you can always remember how you're going to label things. Now, I know for a lot of us, we just need to sit down and write it out ourselves so we can remember it. So right here is a space for you to create your own file tree. Now, this is especially important for those of us who might go, wow, I just can't have this in my documents folder. It drives me nuts. I need to move this onto my desktop. So you can take that and you can put that folder on your desktop. You can write out on your file tree here, my root is my desktop, then I go to my classes, then I go to my semester, then I go to all the classes I have listed that semester. I wouldn't start writing out your assignments because that will start to get very time consuming and take a lot of paper. But if you need to write out a few by hand just to help you remember, there's nothing wrong with that. So we're going to move this back into our documents. Remember, you can put this folder wherever you need to have it for yourself. But other than that, please give this video a thumbs up if it helped you out. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again in our next video.